What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Stardust here. Welcome to another episode of Community Voices this week. Today, I am with cute little Chaos Kitty. Kitty, how are you doing today?
Hi everyone. I'm doing great, thank you. I hope you're doing a meowsing.
See, you're the fourth person now to hope that I'm doing all right. See, I have to count these things because people don't always, check if I'm doing all right. So I appreciate that. So
People should be more nice to you.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. That's how you butter up the host. All right. So Christopher Judge, right, back in the day, said that he really liked your name. So I think it's good to start with where the origins of cute little Chaos Kitty came from.
Um, that's actually a very good question. It was it started back in the day. I mean, I'm obviously trans for everyone who doesn't know it. Um, and back in the day when I was still hiding that from the world and everyone, uh, I tried to find a way to express myself a bit more. And then apparently the internet came in very handy at that time. And then I thought, okay, now that you're going there, what would you do? What would you pick for a name for yourself? And I couldn't come up with a proper name, so I just went with what I liked, and that was cats and apparently cat girls. I'm really into anime and all that.
Hmm.
Um, And obviously, Kitty is a very generic name, and that's taken a lot, so I had to come up with things to add to it. So obviously, I went with Cute Kitty, but that's usually taken, and you would have to add numbers to it. And I didn't want to add numbers. I didn't want to be like the 100th Cute Kitty. And then it went to Cute Little Kitty, and at some point I was I so grew in the role that it just kept adding stuff to it, and I loved spreading chaos at one point, and I made some very good friends online back in the day when I was still playing Star Trek Online, for example, and I love to annoy people there with just random stuff, and that's when the chaos got added.
What kind of chaos could you make on Star Trek Online then? Because I know that like Calix, for example, he tells me a little bit about when he used to play Star Trek Online. So like, what did you used to do to annoy people on Star Trek?
Obviously, I like to play DPS characters a lot, and usually you go with like the escorts, that very small ships, but they can really dish out a lot for everyone who's familiar. That Defiant class, it's very small compared to an Enterprise, for example, but it does a lot of damage. And um, usually you just hit one target because you're just supposed to do damage on one target. And the tank has this ability that can target all the other enemies. And from time to time, I like to mix things up a little and just go all out and attack every target I can. So the tank is really in trouble and the healers are in trouble, like keeping me alive and all that. That was very fun.
That sounds a lot of fun. So, I mean, from just I think it makes sense then in that case to kind of be like, talk about your past a little bit. 'Cause you went into it a little bit yourself, if you don't mind talking about it. I think that because obviously I had Suki on as Suki came out as trans as well, sort of very soon after, I believe, like wow, like a week after the really cool announcement on Twitch. So it's how does it feel for you to have kind of like almost like a mini community within the Avengers community of trans content creators? Because me personally, I've not been in many communities, but this has definitely been the most um, welcoming and most diverse community I've ever seen, with the type of personalities we get, and sexuality, races, all of that, which is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Because it'd be very boring otherwise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, how does that feel then to have kind of a lot of trans content creators in this community?
Um, how do I start this? At first, I actually thought I was like the usual minority and didn't know about the others.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I became active in the community by the end of last year, really, like November, uh that time when the dev stream started and all that. And when I felt the community needed some positivity, I stepped forward. Um, Back in the time, I didn't think about content creation or anything, but I still thought I was a minority of some sort. And I even felt that way when I started picking up streaming because by that time Suki hadn't come out yet. Um, and but I've kind of dipped my toes into it, and I mentioned it briefly on one of Dad Panther's streams, like in the chat and all that, and saw how people reacted, and that was brought me into the content creation thing and really try it. Like everyone was supportive there, and Suki obviously was very supportive. She had a very big role in me starting, and when I found out that there's actually a lot more, it was Sadistic Kitten before Suki came out that I met, and uh, then I realized there's so much more in this community of people of minorities
Mm.
that just come together. We have lots of people of color in the community, as you said, lots of diversity in it, and people from all over the world, really. Um, and at first, I thought that was surprising, but then again, when you think about where we're all coming from and what it is that attracts us to the game, it's the love kind of for the comics or the movies in the MCU, for the superheroes that just come together, and it doesn't depend on who you are or where you come from. And I think that just attracts people from the so-called minorities a bit more. And it's actually not surprising because Marvel in itself is usually very inclusive and supportive of these people,
Mm.
and they just embrace it. And that's why we love the stories, I think.
I think that's another thing as well, is that kind of what's similar with the game and the community is very much like, so for example, there was that line in Wakanda of Kamala teaching Clint about minorities. You know what I mean? Like what it feels to be a minority. And I think that, you know, Kamala, especially being the main character, obviously you know, a minority herself, kind of feels like, you know, you're able to live through that character even more. You know what I mean? So like for someone, so you know, like, and this might go into very sort of, you know, sensitive territory, but for someone as, you know, just a white straight male, you know, very sort of, you know, just I, it's difficult to explain. I want to say normal, but that's not fair because obviously we don't know these, you know, those as people. But for me, right, I'll speak
Yeah,
for
but I
myself.
get you.
Yeah. So like, you know, straight white male, where Kamala, you're into that character because she's a fan of the characters. Whereas like, for example, you know, a trans woman, um, you know, someone who's, you know, of color, you know, different religion than maybe people around them. Kamala's even got that extra appeal because it's like, you know, you feel even more like Kamala, I would say. I think that's fair to say, right?
Um, yeah, don't necessarily feel like Kamala, but I definitely understand her, I think, a lot better than maybe others
Mm.
um, who haven't experienced similar things. Um, Now, I have to say, I haven't experienced a lot of issues actually in my real life with being trans, and specifically,
Yeah.
um, because I've come out to my family like it's 2 years now, uh, and everyone was super supportive.
Oh,
Um,
great. That's great.
yeah, it was like obviously it's very hard to come out to anyone because there's always the anxiety that's there, even if you know your family is consists of very good people who are usually supportive and all that. There's still this little voice inside of you that tells you, what if they really like abandon you or cast you out or something like that? Yeah, that 0.001% chance. It's there. Yeah, the small it is, but if you lose all the other support they're giving you, that would shatter your world entirely. And so obviously it is a huge step. And I'll never forget the first words my dad said to me when I came out to him. He was actually the first person, apart from a very close friend I told before him. Um, and he was like, finally. Yeah, yeah, that was like, all right. That was not what I
Brilliant.
expected him to say, but um,
That's
it
brilliant,
was
though.
actually at the same time it was very relieving, and
Mm.
I'll never forget that. Obviously, he didn't know it, and he just knew there was something going on inside of me, and he was just happy that I actually managed to get it out.
Yeah, no, for
And
sure. That's great. I love
yeah,
stories like that.
yeah, and that's just what yeah supported me. And then I told my mom and my brother, sister, and my friends actually within just 2 weeks. I told my closest friends and the entirety of my family basically um, what's going on, and everyone was supportive. I didn't lose a single one. I know there's a lot of people out there who experience different things,
Yeah, yeah.
so I consider myself very, very lucky on that part. Um,
I think
and
I think
yeah,
that the thing is that, obviously, like you said, you feel very, very lucky, but telling a story like that, where it's like, everyone was really supportive, it's quite inspirational to a lot of people that may be watching this who want to come out as, not just trans, maybe, people haven't come out of the closet yet as, gay, lesbian, etc., etc., that maybe could have that inspiration now, since you've said, I like it's not always bad, you know what I mean? And that sounds really, that's quite motivational, like. So yeah, no, and it's really amazing that your family was really accepting, and your friends as well, like that must have been such a weight off your shoulder, so with that case, then, as you were kind of growing up, what was your first Marvel thing that really kind of like appealed to you?
it was the animated shows as a kid. Um, I know you will like my answer now, but I think the very first Marvel thing I thought saw was Spider-Man,
Woo!
the the animated the animated series.
Yeah.
Um, that was, I think, I'm not quite sure if it was still the end of the 80s or early 90s. Yes, I am quite old. Um,
No. No.
and that was the very first I saw Saturday morning, obviously, on television. It was here in Germany the same way as in other countries, Saturday morning cartoons. So it was Spider-Man, but I really got into Iron Man back there because they showed Iron Man 2, and that was actually my favorite. Um, because it was more grounded to me, actually. I don't know why exactly I like that more. Um, and I also like the X-Men. X-Men. That were my favorite two shows back in the day. Obviously the X-Men did a lot of crossovers with the Spider-Man, but that was the first time really came in touch with Marvel. It was these animated shows, and um, I tried to when I looked it up and talked to people about it, I heard it was based on comic books. Um, and I tried to get my hands on comic books, but there was no comic book store anywhere near me when I grew up. So all I had were the animated shows.
Mm. That's
And yeah.
I mean, that's awesome. Like, I used to be obviously really into the Spider-Man animated series. I mean, I know that's obvious, but like, I used to at 9 o'clock. I think it was every night actually, for because I used to watch it later. It used to come on, and that was awesome. I've never heard anyone, however, say that an Iron Man cartoon was more grounded than a Spider-Man one for them. That's really interesting. Do you think that's like? What reason do you think that is? Because I know you said you weren't too sure, but do you think that's kind of like you just were more appealed to the idea of Tony Stark, or like any of the
Um
characters in that show?
I think it was more um it seemed more realistic to me because that was some more science fiction to it. Like, I could imagine that someone in the future could actually come up with a suit like that and actually build it.
Yeah,
Whereas I
that's a fair
knew
point.
superpowers like Spider-Man's, for example, that always seemed a bit too far-fetched to me, even as a little kid. Um, but obviously, I was also at the same time very much into Star Trek, so I was all into the science stuff, and that was okay. Someone could actually do this. This seems very very great and very detailed and good, and someone could come up with this and build this. And I
Yeah,
think that's what got me into it, really.
yeah, like I totally see what you're saying. I mean, nowadays Elon Musk is building a robot that can do like, mini chores and jobs and stuff like that. So in all fairness, an Iron Man suit is probably waiting in his like garage. So I can totally see what you mean by that. So okay, so well then we'll transition that to a little bit later on. So what was your thoughts? I've asked this to everyone. So, what was your thoughts before the launch of Avengers, so the build up, then at launch, and now for Avengers? And how do you think the game has progressed during that time?
That's a lot to cover. Okay, let me start at the very beginning when they put out the teaser trailer.
Yeah.
When it's still when they announced it as like the Avengers project. Um, Obviously it was at a time where also the MCU was really picking up and kicking off. And I was super hyped back then
Yeah.
because I always thought Marvel games lacked quality. And I had the feeling this could be like the very first game that we actually see the quality these games deserve. Um, obvious, I'm not even sure if Spider-Man was out by then. They were
When it
obviously
was
working on the first.
announced, let me. While you explain, I'll have a look for you, just so I can
Okay,
completely cover that up. So.
okay, but I think the first Spider-Man wasn't even announced then. They were obviously working on it at that time. But yeah, up until then, we basically had the movie games, and those, as we know, are not the best video games. Usually, there are some exceptions, but yeah, usually they just lack in every department. And I thought, okay, this could actually be great. I could play as an Avenger, even if it was just one, because nobody knew what this game would be all about. And then when we got more details and the game got unveiled, I was even more hyped because I knew, okay, they actually are doing an Avengers game. I get to play all these characters in there. Um, and I, for one, am not necessarily negative when they also announce it's going to be a games as a service. I know as soon as that terminology comes up,
Yeah.
a lot of people are suddenly lose interest. Um, because basically what the term stands for is what I like in games or in the modern games, actually. I buy it once and the devs stick to it and continue working on it. They continue improving it. They add to it. And I don't have to abandon a game I love uh, once I'm done with it. I don't have to move on and find the next big thing because it's still there. The big thing is still going. So I'm usually pretty okay when they say that. I know there might be trouble and issues with it, but in the end, they at least seem to have a plan. And so yeah, I was hyped. Then obviously we came to the Spider-Man part, and that that definitely upset me.
Yeah.
Um, I don't really mind exclusive games. I mean, by that time, Spider-Man was out. It was exclusive for the PlayStation. Everyone knew that, and I had come to peace with that. I would never get to play Spider-Man, and that's okay. I mean, have a game be exclusive for one platform. I can still decide if I get the platform for the game. But with this one, it's a bit different because obviously I buy the game and now I feel like I get less of a game just because I don't have a PlayStation.
Yeah.
Um, so that's what upset me, and I actually lost interest in the game for a bit.
Yeah, it was a weird time, a very mixed time there, where a lot of people didn't know whether they still wanted to be on board or not. Like, everyone knows how big of a Spider-Man fan I am. Like, if I didn't have a PlayStation, I would cry. so,
Ye-
so
Yeah, it's not that bad with me. But yeah, I was kind of a bit bummed, and I was also trying to figure out how would they do it because the way they announced how the game would be, I couldn't really see how it would work. To like leave a character exclusive to one platform. Obviously, then we got some more information. Okay, it wouldn't feature crossplay. Okay, that made sense. Because of the exclusivity of Spider-Man, for example. Um, but yeah, some questions remained, and it was when the beta actually launched. I mean, I followed the progress of the game, but I was less stoked about the things I saw. Um, I loved the gameplay reveal though on the last E3 before launch,
yeah,
and then I said, if I really don't get it just because of Spider-Man, I would miss out on a lot. I think I felt, and then I said, okay, you can still look at it when it releases. You don't have to pre-order it. You don't have to buy it at release. You can wait and wait for the reviews. And then the beta came around, and
yeah.
I was like, people are playing it now, and I saw some gameplay footage, and I thought, oh my God, screw it. um, I pre-ordered and have never regretted it since.
That's awesome. I mean, I'm
Because
glad for sure.
yeah, there were obviously some things with the beta because people weren't too stoked about it that when they played it. To me it was different because I knew okay, they said it's a beta, but generally it was just a demo. They had so much content missing from it that it felt to me like a demo. I could feel that the combat system was so good in this game, and I wanted to play this. And I was just happy that I got it, and I said, okay, it's just Spider-Man. You can get over that. You can get through it.
I don't
And
know. uh,
yeah, right now we're at a time where it's all coming
it's
coming
all.
back.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
gotta be
say.
I gotta be honest. It was easier to ignore while Spider-Man was still like out there and not on the roadmap, and everyone was just asking about him. Um, but to be honest, even with the roadmap, I'm a bit more at ease because I can say it does really look like it's not an operation. It's just like a hero and the event around him, and that's okay. I can live with that.
Yeah, just a couple of mission chains, I believe. Probably your nameplate. Like I think to be perfectly honest, I think the event is just to get him geared up so you can get him in the raid. Like I think that's kind of all it is, really. I wouldn't. I mean, obviously, I get why people are upset, totally, but at least it's not like a big expansion only on PlayStation, So at least that's something. So
Yeah.
you're quite a positive person in this community. I think that's fair to say. Has there been a moment since you've started playing this game where you've been quite negative about the game? Maybe something as small as like a bug that you faced really annoyed you, or a decision that they've made, or something like that.
Um, there were several moments, to be honest.
Okay, I'm in.
It's
I'm
something
ready.
I I I hope that I'm the positive person I want to be, but even I'm just like human, at least part of me. Um, and I have these moments too, and I'm not proud of them really. Sometimes I know I go a bit overboard with them. But at least I know once I have my emotions out, I can be positive again. Um, there was this moment, like when they showed Clint's deep dive. And then suddenly it was like a month longer until release.
Yeah.
That was like, oh, we had so much build up there, so much hype, and then we got the deep dive, and the deep dive showed us a release date, and everything was just like, another month. That
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
okay, not perfect, and I was a bit upset about that. But obviously, I can forgive everyone because I mean, if I look at what happened after, I think they learned as much as the community still has to learn. I mean, we also have to manage our expectations. We learn that every time. Um, but also the devs learn how they communicate things and all that. Because then again, I was very positively surprised when we got the uh, Black Panther release date, and it was like, oh, really? Just like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
complete
much, much,
difference.
much, much sooner than everyone thought it would be. So there are always the good moments and the bad moments. I think that's just normal. I mean, nothing can always go like perfect, right?
Yeah.
But I know that the devs are just people too. They're just humans. Everyone makes mistakes. I made mistakes in the past too. But we all have to live with it, and we all have to live past it. And there's no need to like be like hold a grudge just because something didn't go like you wanted it to go. But yeah, that was like my the most intense moment. I was so hyped. I was a bit disappointed about the expansion itself again, but not really upset.
Yeah, I think that's quite an overall feeling. Is that like with the expansion? Is that people weren't necessarily upset. It was just a bit more like, oh, is that it? Like it wasn't. If anything, that's probably a compliment to the expansion itself. That people were kind of more like, I want more. You know what I mean? So that's kind of at least that's a good sign that the core of what they had was decent. It was just trying to get more there. So, when was kind of the first, interaction in the community that you had? So, who was the first couple of people maybe you spoke to? What decided to make you go deep dived into this community as a whole?
Um, it was yeah. I don't exactly remember uh, when exactly it was, but I think it was November, around the time where everyone was crying out loud, where is Kate? Like we all knew Kate would be the first hero, but we hadn't heard anything about her, and people were getting upset. And obviously there were still a lot of bugs back in the day. Um, so I think it was around November of the first year. November after release, when I got more active on the Discord. I had been on the Discord actually since release, but I've usually been quiet. I've said hello a couple of times. I left my Steam code somewhere there on the channel because I wanted to team up with people. Um, because none of my friends actually is into Avengers,
Oh
or
no.
none of my real life friends. So I had to make a bunch of new ones, which I was lucky enough to find. Um, and the first people I really got in touch with, I think, and talked with were you and Suki on the Discord back when she still went under a different name.
Yeah, she told me about the different names she went under, and I could never remember it. So I don't recognize that. I thought you were always Suki. It was strange, but yeah, no.
Yeah,
Like,
because she became Suki pretty close after. I mean, she changed it in December, I think.
I believe so.
Um,
Yeah, I think you're right for sure. But I mean, see, and that's probably why I forgot because honestly, it's always been Suki for me. So I must
yeah,
not have.
because Yeah, she got prominent with that YouTube video she put out under her name of Suki, and that's also when I got to recognize people more in the content creator community, and I
Mm.
just went and checked them out on Twitch. Uh, I hung out in their chats, said hello and all that, and made a couple of friends. Um, Especially when CD started the dev streams and always rated someone in the community. I remember I was there when they rated Revealing. Um, it was such a great moment, and I stuck around. I followed and um, just made a bunch of friends and saw similar names there that I then remembered, oh, those are on the Discord too. And then you just got in touch, and yeah, everything developed from there.
It's like
It
a
just
nice
felt
natural
natural.
progression.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously you're really supportive of all the content creators in this community. I'm pretty sure that everyone kind of by now would recognize your name as a positive force of nature. So, first of all, thank you for that. But also, two, what kind of made you decide? Okay, what I'm gonna start making content. What kind of pushed you to do that?
Um, it was basically two things. First, I always thought about it, like even years back. But I was never really confident in myself and thought, okay, no, nobody would watch it anyway. Um, and because it was also before it came out, I always thought, okay, if you do that, you have to do it as a male person, and no, that's just not me. I couldn't do it as myself, so I did never do it and never tried it out. And then I got in this community and got more active and thought, okay, now I'm basically I've come out to my family, to my friends, but there's still a lot of steps I'd have to take. Like, um, I have to go out and show myself properly in public, for example, and all that. And I'd have to learn to deal with that because I know even though the response in my family and with my friends was all positive and supportive, I would know, okay, there will be times you'll get like the negative, you get to feel the negativity just because if you are who you are.
Mm.
And then I thought, okay, there's so many people here, and I've made a couple of friends, and if I were to go out and do some content creation, I had the feedback of people who said, okay, I'll come and watch you. And then I said, okay, there will be people who will support me when I go live, and that could help. And also at the same time, I could say, okay, there could also be just random people stopping by, and I get a reaction from them, and then I could like teach myself not everyone will be bad, but there will be bad ones. But if you have the support, you can also deal with the bad ones. You don't have to fear them as much. And so I also did it as a part of the therapy for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I can understand that completely. I think that, a lot of people use kind of content creation as like a healthy kind of therapy for themselves because they're able to connect with so many different people. And I mean, I remember when you said, you kind of thinking about going live for the first time, a lot of people, including myself, were like, yeah, we'll be there. That sounds awesome. Because, I mean, it was kind of exciting because you were so supportive of everyone, and then being able to do that yourself was just like, it was something that people just wanted to give back to you. Since then, how would you sort of say that, the Twitch channel has grown, and, have you ran into any complications? Just sort of what do you feel like your general progression is with your content creation?
Oh, um that's a difficult topic actually. Because for one, I am really happy and grateful to everyone who supports me um and helped my channel grow. I still can't believe that it just took me the bare minimum of like really the 7 streams you need to reach the affiliate status on Twitch. Um, that's like mind blowing to me. Totally. I thought, okay, if you start this, okay, there might be people that who come and watch, but they might just be there for the first time ever and then never show up again. Which is fine, really, but to just realize, okay, they're really doing it. They're pushing you. You can reach this goal in like 7 streams that you need, and then you could maybe even earn money with it. That was an incredible feeling. Um, Obviously, to everyone who watches my streams and who stops by my channel, they know I'm not affiliate. You can subscribe to me. Um, that's because of some issues I have in real life. I can tell it to everyone now. I wanted it to be out there anyway, so people know why and what. Um, but I had actually to file for bankruptcy earlier this year. Um, so obviously I have to give any money I earn to the people I owe it to, which is fine. I mean, I made debts. Most of them were for college that I tried myself on, and couldn't repay because I lost my job back in 2008. Um, but yeah, that's and then there comes some legal stuff because basically, okay, I should earn money, but I have some issues to deal with mentally because I was unemployed for such a long time, and I can't actually work, and this is part of my therapy, so I could actually do it. But if I were to earn money with it, I kind of have to start a business for it, and then there would come a lot of legal issues because then the whole business would be like claimable in terms of monies and issues that come up, and that it's very complicated there. It's basically German legal stuff. So I was advised to not do this on a more professional level.
Hmm.
So it remains to be a hobby for myself, and it still works for the main purpose. I did it like the therapy stuff. It's perfect, and I appreciate the entire community that stops by every day and watches me, or every time I go live. I don't go live every day, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's yeah, no, that's I mean, you know, obviously we've had a conversation about that before as well, and obviously as you know, you've always got, all of us here to support you, and even though that sounds like a very complicated, legal situation, the thing is that you're still, even though you're going through all that, you're still streaming, you're still putting smiles on people's faces. So, again, it's just big credit to you to be able to still carry on with your positive energy, even whilst going through stuff like that. So, thank you for sharing that. So, let's just go back to kind of the general community for a minute. So, obviously this community has been known to be very hot and cold when it comes to things. You've got the kind of the people that would name call, so you've got the shills, haters, etc., etc. You've obviously never touched that side of the community, right? So what is kind of your thoughts about the general community as a whole, not just people and if there was any sort of advice you could give to people that maybe feel a little bit let down, say because of the roadmap or something, what would you say to them?
Um, ooh, that's good. Give me a moment to think of some nice words for it.
Oh, we don't do nice
No,
words
no, not
here.
not nice, but the right words basically. Because it's difficult for me. Obviously, I'm not a native English speaker, so I have
Mm.
some trouble finding the right words to express myself properly. Um, but first of all, I want to say that this roadmap we got now is the best roadmap we've gotten so far. I
Oh
can I can
damn.
just tell I can just tell anyone that because it lays so much groundwork. I actually wish that this roadmap would have been like the first 6 months we had for Avengers and
Oh,
nothing else.
dang! Sorry.
But
It's a
yeah,
very hot take.
but yeah, just imagine we had gotten all this new cool content with earnable cosmetics in place, with the gear rework in place. Um, we had the events, the bonus XP weekends, and all that. Uh, and then get everything we had when it comes to new heroes after that.
Hmm.
It would have been so much better even. But I can understand why they did the content first. I mean, everyone who buys the game now gets a solid game with a solid amount of content in there. Uh, Even if you're just playing it on your own without anyone else, you get like a solid 25 hours out there, out of the campaigns and story modes and all that, and you haven't even touched like the initiative.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's but now what we get for the rest of the year is like the solid groundwork we need to then have a proper like service game in place that we can just expand. Then I can be happy when new content comes out because I know, okay, I will have rewarding gear in the missions because even if it's just not the power level I want, I can get it to the power level I need it to be. I have resources that actually matter that I know what I can use them for, and all that. I have probably I possibly have units to spend on cosmetics and all that. So then I actually have stuff to do aside from just logging in like every Thursday, doing my weekly missions, and logging back out again.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, for a lot of people, it's just like that. I mean, as a content creator, of course, you kind of stretch it out a bit. You don't do everything the first day, or you just keep the rest of the week playing with the community and helping them and all that, which is all fine. But obviously, we all want more stuff to do throughout the week.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely difficult as a content creator, like a lot of us have decided to kind of, okay, let's branch out to different Marvel things. Just because, well, Avengers is having this kind of moment of, let's work on these things rather than focusing on content. It's very difficult at the moment for, content creators to be like, okay, so today we're doing this or today we're doing that. Because most of the time, it has actually already been done. So it's more kind of trying to figure out, okay, what can I do now? Have you kind of faced any of those sort of problems yourself, or do you find it just easy to play with the community and just chill out while playing Avengers?
Um, before I get to that, I want to get back to the actual question you asked. What I would say to the people who are a bit let down, or who are maybe upset or anything. I would just say, learn to deal with your emotions, not control them. You don't have to control your emotions, but deal with them. Find the proper methods to vent and all that. But it's not by, for example, going straight towards the devs and attacking them. That's not the proper way to deal with emotions. Um, I, for myself, try and channel my emotions into positivity because I worked a bit in customer service, for example. I know how people are, and I also know how hard the people are working that you actually are attacking. Um, and I mean, a lot of people are working hard in their lives, and I get it. You want to come home, play a perfect game, and just relax with it. And you don't like when you come across bugs that annoy you. But at the same time, you don't want people to show up at your workplace and just bash on you for doing a bad job, even though you know you're not doing a bad job. But you just don't want that to happen. And so control your emotions in a way that you know how to let them out when you can let them out, um, and all that. I like to channel the positivity because I think the world is not full enough of positivity. It's way too negative, and I would just like, as you said earlier, when I can put a smile on a person's face, and even if it's just once a day, um, my day has actually been worth living. And because I made someone else smile, I made someone else's day a bit better. It doesn't have to be much. It doesn't have to change the world or anything. But if every one of us does it, it changes the world for the better. And that's what I go by.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a brilliant way to kind of see anything like that, is bringing sort of smiles to faces, and that's a reason why a lot of people, do make content and stuff like that. It's just to kind of have that kind of adrenaline rush of knowing you can make someone happy, and I think that that's absolutely incredible that. That is sort of the mindset to have. I completely agree. So, onto kind of community stuff, as well as like, just as well as bringing smiles to people's faces. Let's talk a little bit about the community nights. Right, so obviously, Black Wakanda and Suki and others and so on set up obviously these community nights. And for people who don't know, we've already done one on Among Us. I think it's just been Among Us so far, but I know Fall Guys is coming up very soon. What
Yes.
what is it kind of like to be in a community where we're able to do these kind of fun little family game nights? Because I mean, I've only been able to attend properly attend one, and it was some of the most fun I've ever had, and I got to meet so many people. Like, for example, Tank. I never got to speak to Tank before until then. It's the first time I actually properly spoke to Burst. Hoarder. Never spoke to Hoarder. Old Head. Carrot. Loads of people who I never got a chance, who I know of. I just never had a
Yeah.
chance to sort of say howdy before, and it was quite surreal. So how does that kind of feel?
It's incredible actually. I never thought this community would grow into something like that, but I'm even more happy that it did. Because obviously there are a lot of games I would love to play with people and with friends especially. And for some reason, my real life friends who are also into video games are not into the same video games that I am into, or they play them differently. Because I play them for the fun. I'm very enthusiastic when it comes to games, even the competitive side of them. Um, but in the end, I just wanna enjoy them. I want to have fun with my friends, and I don't have to talk about real life at the side. I just want to turn off my brains and just enjoy myself and all that. And that's where the community nights come in, because obviously we do it as the Avengers community, but we don't really talk about Avengers because it's just about the game we play.
It is,
We met
yeah.
in Avengers, and we can just bring it on and move on to other games and still like be friends and have the same vibe going on, um, that we have when we play Avengers together. And so that's great. Obviously, for me, I'm a PC player. I don't have a lot of people to play with on my platform. Um, so it's one of the rare times I actually get to play games with some of the others, like Carrot, for example. Um, but yeah, it's just great. We I think we've done actually three of them. But it was, as you said, just Among Us for now. I'm really looking forward to Fall Guys, even though I know that talking will be even more chaotic because the lobbies
Yeah.
are so much larger. Um, I hope it all works out as planned. But even if not, I'm pretty sure we will have tons of fun with it. I've played Fall Guys like only a couple times, not really much. Because that too, it's not a game I would play and enjoy a lot when I'm on my own. But when I'm with friends, when I'm with a group who are playing with me, it's actually super fun.
I can just
So
imagine. Yeah,
can't wait.
I can just imagine right now, like holding Carrot while he gets like obliterated by one of the spinny things on the platform or something like that. Because if there's anything that makes me laugh during these community nights, is Carrot getting annoyed. And bless him, because his mic Mike does this thing where when he shouts louder, the further his mic somehow goes from his mouth. So he sounds like he's in the back of his room just screaming at the computer. Oh, it's so funny. So if Carrot watches this, just know that I am going to get a reaction out of you for my own entertainment. Okay, so but so like stepping back into Avengers really quick. In fact, actually, a point I wanted to make a little bit earlier, but then we went into something else. Is that have you ever been kind of into comic books? Then have you kind of and if you are, what heroes do you like? What villains do you like? What stories do you like?
Okay, I did have a chance to get into the comics. I'll say it straight away. I'm very sorry for that because I would really love to get into them. There was a time I could actually get to a comic book store who was like in the next town. It was easier for me to get there because I still had a car. Um, and I checked out the Marvel comics, but it was like I'm just standing there and was going like, okay, where do you even start? It was also just a very small comic book store, and it was, yeah, pretty overwhelmed with how do I start? Where do I get in? Because everything was obviously already running. And so I had would have had to ask for older issues to like start me off with this run or stuff like that. Um, and in the end, I always backed out. I just bought another manga and went on. But I did some. I looked some of them up like online. I kind of found a page that was reviewing some of the stories that were going on, and I kind of kept up to date alongside the MCU movies that came out, and just followed the comics for a while there. Um, and also I looked up like comics for the MCU, like when a new movie came out and they said, "Oh, this movie is based on that comic run or that event and all that." I looked up what happened there. What were the key story points? What can I expect? Um, because I always knew the comics would not spoil me for the movie because I knew the movies were different than the comics. They always changed stuff and mixed it up. So they're very hard to predict. And there was this one video game from Marvel that came out that actually got me in touch with my favorite Marvel character.
Oh, okay.
Um, okay, people who know me will already know what comes next, but
I think I know.
the game was Marvel Heroes. Um, and
Wait for it.
it, it's actually a hard word. There are going rumors around that say Germans cannot pronounce this word right, but it's Squirrel Girl.
Hey! Nice one.
Yeah, I just when she was announced for Marvel Heroes, I had no idea a character like her existed, and so I had to look her up. And then I saw all these amazing stories around her and what kind of personality she had and what her character was, and I was okay, I'm gonna love her. And then she came out, she had all these cool lines, and she looked super cute. She had an army of squirrels with her. In the end, she even got the squirrel that sat in a Hulkbuster armor that you could sick onto your enemies, and it was great. I had so much fun with her. Um, I put her into the Santa suit they had for her like all year long, and I was the happiest gamer ever. I think when I logged into Marvel Heroes and could place my Squirrel Girl, I was happy. So I'm hoping some of the devs hear this for Marvel's Avengers. Please add Squirrel Girl at some point. I can wait 2 years, 3 years. I don't mind, but just add her, please.
What an absolute wild card that would be for Avengers, a Squirrel Girl. That would be kind of awesome actually. Like I think that, obviously, and I understand it. They'll probably go for like the heavy hitters first, you know what I mean? But after that, I can totally see them going for those more obscure like characters like Squirrel Girl and stuff like that. Just out of
Yeah,
fun really, just out of experimentation like, hey guys, do you want to make Squirrel Girl? yeah, why not? And they'll just, and they'll go to work. So that's no. I really hope that you're able to get that one day. So
Yeah, I mean, I've heard one. I mean, I think it was Keanu who said Squirrel Girl was very popular among the writing team. So maybe.
ooh, that could mean something. That could mean something. That could, in all fairness.
I mean, at least the ones writing the story like her, and so I would assume they're at least trying to find a way to get her in there somewhere that she can fit in.
I
Um,
I think I think for now, your best bet is to every single time a DLC comes out, look for Easter eggs everywhere. Like a little nut on the floor could resemble Squirrel Girl Easter egg, So like just keep an eye out.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, absolutely. I doubt it though, but I and that's also a shame. I mean, you said they are going for the heavy hitters first, which is understandable, but at the same time, when you look at the MCU, for example, they did not start with a heavy hitter because Iron Man, when they launched that movie, when they announced it, Iron Man was far from being one of the favorite comic book characters
it was
Marvel had.
X-Men and Spider-Man if I remember correctly. That
Yeah, everyone was into those. Iron Man was like, yeah, okay, he's there somewhere. And then that movie just, yeah,
blew
it
up.
it
Created the
de
MCU.
definitely. I mean, there were rumors that they were trying to do something like the MCU, at least lead up and introduce more heroes so they could do the Avengers movie. That was like the rumors at that time. But yeah, it was just rumors. And I remember when Iron Man came out. That's actually why I love Marvel so much lately. Um, Iron Man came out at the time where I lost my job,
Hmm.
and it was the first thing I watched in the cinemas when uh, when I thought everything was gonna turn shit, so to speak. Um, and I remember when the movie was done, I felt so good. I felt genuinely happy at that time. Not just because I mean I said earlier Iron Man was the animated series I loved most of the Marvel ones, so obviously I wanted to go and watch that movie. But I had such a great time, and I felt like a little kid again, and that's what got me hooked on the MCU from the very beginning.
For sure, I think that a lot of people could probably share that when it comes to the MCU. That Iron Man was the first sort of film where, like, especially for me, because I think the film came out in 2008.
Yes.
Yeah, so I would have been 7 when that movie came out. So for me, it was kind of like I was kind of at that right age where I needed something to latch onto as I was getting a little bit older. And perfectly, the MCU was like, here you go. And it just, it felt like it was designed specifically to be like, it's not just Spider-Man, all right, little Stardust, it's not. Here's Iron Man, and that was really cool. So that got to open up an entire world for me as well, similar to kind of just how it did for you, but sort of more of a mainstream kind of effect. So obviously we know Squirrel Girl is your favorite hero. So let's discuss your favorite hero in Marvel's Avengers and how you like to play them. So out of the cast, who's your favorite?
Um, Obviously, I should actually say Black Panther because he's a kitty. Um, I just had the question asked earlier to me in stream, like a couple hours ago, and I wanted to say Black Panther then, and I just couldn't because I realized, especially lately, whenever I launch the game, I just play a different hero now.
Hmm.
I I don't have the main. Today I played a lot of Thor actually. He's just champion level 5 for me. So you know I don't play Thor a lot. And I had fun with Thor because I didn't play him for a while. And then I played some Black Widow again, and I played some Iron Man. Black Panther currently, I might actually wait playing him again until they kind of fix the pounds that others can do damage while an enemy is pounced, um, or something like that. Because I always think, yeah, I love to pounce enemies. It's so fun. Even if it doesn't do the most damage, it's just fun, and I love to use it. Um, but at the same time, I always feel like, okay, I'm taking an enemy out there, out of the battle, and I see my AI when I play with AI trying to attack this enemy, but they just can't, and that kind of kills it for me a bit. So in the end, I'm putting Black Panther aside a bit, but I played him a lot after the expansion, of course.
Yeah.
And I'm just going all over the place. I played some Cap this week, earlier this week too. I've neglected him a bit, and I have so much fun with Cap. It's Yeah, I mean every character in this game is like so much fun to play that I can't really decide who's my main. If I were to go like a top three, it would actually be Black Panther, Black Widow, and Iron Man, who I like to call Ultiman because I like to play him with the ultimate Iron Man suit.
I've seen that
It's
meme
it's
around,
just
yeah.
it's just yeah, it's just the cutest thing ever. I just
Did you buy the recolors of the Ultimate Iron Man skin? Like, I'd imagine you'd have all of them if you could.
sadly no. Because obviously I lack the money. I have to be very careful
Yeah.
with the little money I have. So I can't buy them all. Um, I hope they will be earnable very soon.
Well, yeah,
That's
hopefully.
definitely cost. That's definitely costumes. I would go for the what's it called? The aerospace one probably first because the crash test one
Oh no.
I I don't really like it that much because I don't really like any of the crash test costumes to be honest.
Oh, thank the
Because
Lord.
yeah,
Sorry.
but not because they kind of look bad or anything like that. It's in my opinion because they don't look bad enough. They should have gone overboard with those. Make them really silly. The Iron Man one is still the best out of the bunch, but yeah, you could have done so much more with the costumes. Go for it. Don't hold yourself back. Like just go nuts, really. Like Squirrel Girl would say.
Well, there we go. There's even more Squirrel Girl inspiration right there. So, if any Crystal Dynamics developer is listening to this, then Kitty's advice would be for the outfits is to go nuts. So actually, in that regard, then, do you think like the cosmic outfit is kind of a step in that direction, or do you think that's kind of like too much, if you know what I mean?
Mm, it's not really nuts. Actually, the cosmic outfits, the first thing I thought when I saw it, I thought there goes my chance for a better Jarvis barrier effect. Because honestly, how they look, I would love to have Jarvis barrier effect look on the costumes.
It's a good point. It's actually a good point. I know that I can't remember who edited it, and I don't want to mistake who did it. Do believe it was All Father though, but obviously anyone who can correct me on that, please do. Who did the cosmic design but turned it like an orange effect, like color, and that looked really cool. Like you can still see your skin. It isn't sort of taking over the screen and stuff like that. So yeah, no, I think.
Yeah,
I think that would be interesting. I mean, it could always be eventually. It's just that then obviously that kind of makes those cosmic skins a little bit unnecessary. If you can just get gear that will kind of make it look close to that. So, maybe
yeah,
like
yeah.
maybe
That
like a beehive effect over the health bar, maybe.
yeah, the health bar might be the wrong one, or they have to reposition that at some point because I don't pay that much attention to it. But definitely the effect looks cool. Um, but it's a bit too bright in my opinion.
You have to wear sunglasses indoors if you're gonna have to play Marvel's Avengers with those skins.
Yeah, but I like the idea behind them a lot. How they implemented it. Not the best, but definitely a good skin. I mean, especially if you look into the details of it, which sadly sometimes get overshined by the brightness.
Yeah.
So
I uh,
yeah.
the other day I was near the war table and I looked up where Cap was and I thought my retinas were burning out. So maybe next time maybe turn the brightness a little bit down. It's cool that they went for something else, but definitely not to the point of burning eyes. So that we have just passed over 1 hour, so we have hit the kind of the time now where I would be having to say goodbye. So, Key,
Um,
is there anything that you want to say before we kind of do our outros right here?
um, no, I basically just would tell anyone to be positive. I mean, we have all the right to be positive for this game and its future. Um, I still think it's bright. It's definitely as bright as the cosmic outfits, I would say.
Oh, that's maybe maybe it's too bright. Maybe they need to step back a little bit. Maybe take a couple of more months with this roadmap then. But no, I agree. I agree. I definitely think that this game isn't going anywhere anytime soon, and you can obviously tell by statistics and stuff like that as well, which is really cool. So, thank you all for watching today. I will leave all of Kitty's social channels down in the description below because she's really bad at promoting herself. so
Yeah, you're right.
because I was like when I said oh, have you got anything, I was hoping for like, yeah, subscribe to this, follow this, do this, and then you were just really nice, so I was like, okay, I'll do it for you. So
Oh, thank you so much.
make sure to follow all of anything of Kitty's that I can put in the description down below. You have been an absolutely amazing guest. Thank you for being so open. Thank you for I know this is really difficult. It's literally been an hour of like, kind of putting you on the spot, especially English not being your first language. So you've done amazing, by the way. There wasn't anything I picked up that you like said that didn't sound right, if you know what I mean, or anything like that. And considering, I have a quite a thick sort of accent as well, the fact you're able to understand me, my questions, you're able to answer them with better English than probably I even speak sometimes, is
Ah,
absolutely awesome. So well well done for that, because that's not going to be easy. Like for example, if we did this in role reversal, I would be screwed. I would be like, sorry. It was
yeah, but I'd be screwed too because I'm not good at asking questions.
I don't know. I think that like if it was, Chris Judge or someone like that who wanted to know more about your name, I'm pretty sure you'd be all right asking those questions. Just like so
I
Chris
could
Judge.
answer them, but
So Chris Judge, I heard you like my name. So, questions like that. So, thank you everyone for watching another episode of Community Voices. I will try and be back with another episode as soon as humanly possible. Make sure to enter the giveaway by writing who your favourite Avenger is. It is the featured video on the channel, and I will see you all later. Peace.